Can you believe we're already a week into July? And I know you're wondering, what can I still plant in my garden? Well, in a mixed mulch garden where you're keeping the soil temperature cool, I think you can plant just about anything you want to eat. There's a few things that take a little longer. You probably don't want to mess with those. I've got all this basil that needs to go in the ground, so I'm going to put that in today. Looking at our tape that we planted the other day, I've got 1, 2, 3, 5 or 6 beets came up out of that line and said 500. I got 3 or 4 carrots that are germinated. I'm not so hot on planting tape. But since we got some beets in here, I'm going to go ahead and put some more beet seeds down. I got plenty of time for that. I'm going to get these basil in the ground. Probably put a little lettuce in. All of those things are good to plant in summer. You can plant some squash, beans, cucumbers. Definitely get round 2 of just about anything out in the garden. We planted tomato suckers just the other day, and we still have 85 to 90 days before I can expect my first frost. You can put sweet potatoes in right now, and you still have time to get a lot of nice leaves and some pretty good tubers. I'm gonna go ahead and put some more beet seeds in here, see if we can't fortify what's already trying to come up. But I'm not a fan of that planting tape, that's for sure. This pack was almost empty, but I think I'll put a nice little row in between what we got coming up. And since we're just doing it soil contact, just pat that in, put a little bit of mulch back over it, and I bet we get something. Yes, and I do plant pretty heavy. And since we're out here, let's go ahead and put a basil on either end of this row. You see underneath that mixed mulch? Look at that soil. That is good and rich, full of life, full of nutrients. We'll go ahead and separate this patch of. Now these were ones that we took off of those original basil. Just get that root ball down in there. Give it a little drink. Go ahead and pinch off a leaf or 2 if you need to. There you go. You also have time to get in some more squash, some more zucchini. You can do the winter squash, trellis that. You can also get in some Swiss chard. If you got a big mat like that, you can be kind of aggressive pulling those apart. Pinch off any of those lower leaves. Now remember, basil, tomatoes, peppers, their entire stem does root. Now it's a little late to be planting peppers if you want to have a harvest in your garden. But I'd also get some seeds going for the upcoming planting. Yeah, we're going to continue to plant. And in my head, I'm looking around the garden to see where I want to put some straw bales to set up a cold frame. And this tomato I planted on its side, so its roots are out here, but it could use a good little companion. Just pinch out those bottom leaves. Now I am going to go kind of fast. I checked out the radar. We're going to get a rainstorm here in a minute. Now I'm going to plant some of these in this row where the corn was. The other good thing about basil, it doesn't mind being close together. So I'm going to use that to my advantage. We got a lot of basil to get in, and with what we've already got planted, we don't have a ton of room. You caught on to the fact that I said straw for my cold frames. And what about the herbicides that can come along with straw? Well, the difference between straw and hay is straw is grown just for the grain. So they're not going to spray the same stuff they spray when they put it on a hay field. And even that Grazon, I've done a little research on that, and it's got a half-life, and it takes several months for that to dissipate out. Unlike your straw that may have a light herbicide, it's got a pretty fast half-life. we're gonna go ahead and get some straw here pretty quick. I'm gonna leave them out in the sun, let them get rained on, and that should dissipate any herbicide that may be in there. Let's see where else we can get some of these. Right here at the end of the Swiss chard looks like a good place. And just look at the worms that we got. Thank you. I don't know if you can hear that thunder off in the distance. I need to get busy here or I'm gonna get wet. Now we're coming down to it. We make a bunch of pesto with our basil, but we also use it to flavor all kind of dishes. And since we got all of this for free just off of those couple plants, I'm gonna plant it all. We got some nice cucumbers that have just started to come up. We got a purple basil on this side of this trellis. Let's go ahead and put this last one right here. The worms are just amazing. Thank you, buddy. There, we've got all the basil in. And once these get established in a few days, we'll come back and we'll prune them off and we'll go ahead and root some of those. I'm also going to plant some carrots directly. Kind of what I've been waiting for, are these seed heads. We got quite a few of these that are ready to come off. But that's what we've been looking for. Once it starts turning color, these seeds will go ahead and continue to dry pretty quickly. I'll be able to get these in the ground directly. Just kind of cut those heads off, catch them in a pan or bucket, and then let the rest drop. Well, once a few of them start turning, the rest are going to turn really quickly. Just going to cut off a couple of these big ones, let those dry. I'm going to let the rest of these kind of hang out here. And the cilantro here, we got almost no coriander left on here. So we ought to have a nice little batch of cilantro coming up all winter long. I am going to use this as part of my cold frame because it is raised up off the ground, but we don't have to worry about that for a month or so. I see these clouds coming in. I'm going to get rained on. Got a bunch planted. Think about what you want to put in your garden. You can do this too. And until next time, remember, take care of yourself, take care of your family, and God bless you. Come on, let's plant.
Let's go plant garden.